welcome to the shop. Thomas here, doing something a little bit different this time around. Doing some compost bins, some do-it-yourself compost bins. Now, I've tried a couple different ones myself. I actually don't remember where I got the idea from this. I read it in a magazine or a book or something like that, so it's not my idea. But it's not that expensive, it's pretty easy to make, and I think it works better than anything I've tried. My neighbor over here has one of those tumbler type. At my dad's, we've got a barrel and a couple more of these. And I know another neighbor has one of those great big balls that you kind of roll around, and you know, none of my neighbors seem to be all that happy with theirs, but I've been pretty satisfied with these. They're fairly lightweight, pretty easy to construct. This is basically just 2x4s ripped, so it's 2x2s. Basically some deck screws, and I also put some brackets in here, and I'll show you some close-ups of these brackets. So there's 6 brackets. There's 2 different type. One thing about the brackets, though, when you use, at least my local home improvement center has 2x2s brackets right beside the 2x4 brackets, so make sure you get in the right bracket. I just wanted to put it out here. This one you see here is painted. The first ones I did, I didn't paint them, and they still lasted about 10 years. And they weren't, I don't remember what wood it was, but it wasn't a very good wood for outdoors, and they still lasted for a pretty good long time. This is just pretty much an experiment to see if they will last longer. But I will say something about the paint. If you are going to paint them, you want to paint them at least 3 times. Mainly the reason why, if you only paint them once, it's so easy to scratch off the paint and stuff. It's just not even worth doing. 2 times is better, but 3 times is considerably better. Also, as far as the wood choice, you do not want to use pressure treated wood. That's the one reason why I'm trying to paint this and see if they'll last longer, but 10 years is still pretty good. The reason why you don't want to use pressure treated wood is because there's, I can't remember what the chemical is, but a lot of it's a copper based chemical. It's poison, and if you are using your compost bin for vegetable gardens, that will leach in there when it rains and stuff. And same thing, you know, with your beds. Don't use treated lumber anywhere near your beds for the same reason. It'll leach into the soil, and for whatever reason, plants like to suck it up, and then you'll be consuming it. I'm using 1/2-inch mesh or 1/2-inch hole spacing right here. And that seems to do pretty well. The last ones I made, I used 1/4-inch mesh. If you know, and you could use that if you got a lot of real fine stuff you're going to put in it. But I think this is pretty good. As far as like dimensions, I'm not really going to give you any dimensions as far as, like, you know, you make it this high, this wide, etc., etc., etc. The reason why is because it's going to be based on your mesh. At least that's how I do it. This mesh happens to be 36 inches wide, 25 feet long. So my cube is 36, 36, 36. If yours is 30, then it'll be 30, 30, 30, or whatever. That seems to make it easy. As far as this is concerned, the reason why this is like it is will become more apparent, you know, at the end when I show you why you want to do that, because you do want to do that. It makes a big difference. You can, I guess, if you wanted to, make this out of you know, 2x4s, but one of the reasons why I like the 2x2s is because it makes it lighter, and that way, if you're strong enough, you can lift it. And at the end, I hope to show you why you want that ability as well. It's pretty sturdy. Like I said, I mean, it's there's 2 brackets on the bottom here. There's 2 brackets right here, and there's 2 brackets right here. But everything else is using either 2.5 or 3-inch deck screws. I think I already said that, but if I didn't. All right, so here are some of the things, tools and things we're going to need to put this thing together. Obviously, here are the 2x2s. You're going to need, you don't need both of these, but if you have both, so much the better. Screwdriver is going to help too if you because if you tighten it down too much with this, it'll definitely crack the 2x2. Tape measure, square, hammer. I'd like to use a super fine Sharpie instead of a pencil. These are the brackets we're going to use. We're going to use some sheet metal shears to cut the wire mesh. And then you may or may not need some pliers. I just put them out here just in case. Staple gun, staples, decking screws, and then I like to use this style of screw. Works really good. And of course you're going to need I have in the drill over there, I have a 3/32 drill bit. I'm not sure what size that is in metric. I want to say it's 2.5 millimeter, but I could be wrong. It's in that area. I actually have two different decking screws here. This is a 3-inch, and it's a little bit thinner. It's a number 7, where these are 2.5, number 8, I believe. And you'll definitely need some sort of gloves for handling the wire mesh. That's the corner bracket. Make sure you get a 2x2, and then the other type of corner bracket. And they should be in the same area. Alright, so we're going to put the outside frame together first. I'm going to take one of the long pieces. And what I'm going to do actually before I start drilling and putting screws in is I want to take one of the short pieces, and because most of these are the other ones that are going to have the actual pilot hole through them. So I just kind of want to figure out, you know, the spacing, so I just go ahead and mark them all. So take my square and I'm going to measure that, and then I'm going to basically put this back. And what did I do with my marker? Oh, here it is. So I'm going to take one of these and measure that out, mark it, and then I'm going to line all these up. I want to kind of make sure they're more or less about the same. That's close enough. Use that same one. I'm just going to flip it over and do this back side, and I'll transfer the front side. There we go. I usually use a countersink, but I left the countersink at the shop. It doesn't really matter. And for those who doesn't know, the reason for the pilot holes is to hopefully keep the ends from cracking. I mean, there's not a whole lot of meat right there, so that's what you got to do. The reason why you might want to use a screwdriver to tighten it down fully, because if you use the impact driver and you go too far, it's just going to split that right open, and then it's not going to be very strong at all. I kind of like to go ahead and get a couple in there and make it a little easier. If you don't have a helper like me, this is the, this is the best I've found so far. They do make a square clamp, but it's not that critical. I do kind of want to get them, you know, as close to the sides, I mean, as close as possible because of the wire mesh we're going to be putting on. And, you know, as far as the other side is concerned, I'm just using my foot and I'm just basically stepping on the bottom. And by the way, this is also kind of sort of the reason why you want to put more than one coat of paint on. It's because just doing like this, if you only put one coat of paint on, you're going to rub it off in all kinds of spots. And that actually makes me think of another thing. You know, I just built 3 of these and I put 3 coats on all of them, and actually I'm getting ready to build 3 more. I'm not actually gonna, on the other 3, I'm not gonna put any paint on it, and I'm gonna kind of see if it makes any difference or not, because, you know, paint's pretty expensive. If it doesn't make a big difference, why bother, right? And the other reason I want to do the experiment is it's just like this, you know, I just had to drill some holes in here. And like I was just saying, you know, like messing around, I'm putting little nicks in it and stuff. And of course, you know, if any of these crack, moisture is going to get in it basically. So that's kind of a bad thing, I mean, because almost, you know, the vast majority of it's coated now, so the moisture has no way to escape. So that could be a bad thing. Whereas the untreated, it has a way to escape. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting little experiment to check out though. And I need probably 2 or 3 more bins because I'm going to put, I want 4 here, and I need to replace a couple at my dad's. All right, now we got to put the base together. So I don't know if you noticed, I didn't actually drill pilot holes through these other 4, just 4 of them. And that's because, well, let me get some room here. Hope that'll be obvious. That's gonna go like that, or actually like that. So I actually need to put the pilot hole on the sides, on the bottom and just one corner, because the other one's going to be 2 feet high. So and I'm just using this other 2x2 as a kind of a guide. Gotta watch the other screw, because I've broken quite a few quite a few of these screws, I mean drill bits. So here again, I'm just gonna more or less do the exact same thing as I did just a minute ago. Maybe. This is a little bit slightly shorter. Yeah, that one didn't quite seat. Alright, so I'm just going to flip this right over as such. You would think this would be the easier part, but it's not. It definitely isn't. That's okay, you only have to get one at a time. All right. I don't know why that one kind of, oh, I do know why. It hit the screw. That's a bad thing about that. There's so little meat there that it ain't hard to break a screw, break a drill bit. All right, 2 feet up. Oop, might help if I go the right way. I'm actually going to run it down the side. I forgot to do it down this one so I can drill my pilot hole and get it close to it now. Got to be real careful at this point because there's very little support yet. When everything's completely together, it'll be a lot more rigid. All right, if you actually, this is the obviously the up part, but if you are taking 2x4s and ripping them, you're gonna have one sharp cornered side, one rounded side. I would put the rounded side up. Looks better, plus it helps shed water and stuff. I don't know if I already said this or not, but this is where I'm using the longer 3-inch. Well, I hope I am, because well, I ain't using that one. Some of these are recycled pieces and stuff, like I said, a little rounded out. It's a little wobbly, as you can see, but these 6 brackets will make it considerably stiffer. I'm gonna need 4 of these corner brackets. These right here, those throwing star looking boomerang things. But anyways, you're gonna put one right there and one right there. I will say this though, you don't want to put a screw in every single one of the holes. It's like these two. You basically, you know, you're gonna have a short side and then a long side. The long side is gonna be you're gonna be able to put more screws in it without fear of the ends splitting. And then the other brackets here, these are a little weird because they go on the corners and they're like this. So what I'm going to do, basically, and if you look at it, it's just a piece of sheet metal. Just like then, I'm just gonna bend it open and then stick it around the thing on the bottom, and then bend it back, and then you probably will, just like I had to. You'll probably have to hammer these things down. As you can see, that's already stiffened it up a little bit. It's not even screwed in. Same thing there. You just want to be careful which ones holes you put screws in. I'm gonna do the same thing here. All right, so this is where we want those really nice, wide, flat screw heads. I can't remember. I don't remember what they're called. It's not a cheese head or a Phillips head, but it's different. So yeah, gotta get that in there. A couple of these in there. Just a bit of warning. I don't think these are hardened screws. They're real easy to break with an impact driver. I've noticed the heads, they spin off sometimes. So you got to be real careful about when you put them on there. I always forget that. And then I break the heads off, so. I have several different kinds of screws here for some reason. I'm not sure why. That was a wee bit too fast, I think. I think that's all of them, I think. Yep, that's all of them. So that's a little bit firmer. You may not be able to tell by looking at it, but it feels it. No, I don't want to get that one. So, okay, so yeah. Now we're gonna do these. Best way to just do these is just on the floor. Get inside my cage. All right. This is a really simple one. Here again, like, if you look at this, this is longer than this, so you got more meat here, so I'm not going to do this last one because there's not enough meat there. I'm just going to do this one, this one, this one, this one, and that one. You really won't even need it once you get all these screws in there anyways. There's a whole bunch of screws. I mean, there's 3, there'll be 5 in each one of these, so I think missing a couple ain't gonna hurt it too bad. I don't want to do that one, do I? I want to do that one. I'm just gonna flip it around and I'm gonna actually do both of those bottom ones, or not bottom ones, but the bracket ones, middle ones, something like that. Sorry about that, the camera died. Alright, this is the last bracket anyway, so and then we're on to putting the mesh on. One more screw and we're done. Here we go. Oh. All right, it's finished. It's much stiffer, and it will be even stiffer more once I get the mesh put on it. Yeah, so let's do it.